see how things go this weekend, and then we'll figure out who we're going to deliver.
Well, what are you thinking?
Our first fight is in November. I want to go out with a big fight. This is our first time on a championship-level fight.
Overeem, where are negotiations with him?
We're talking to Overeem. When everything fell apart, you guys heard I came out and said we can't do business with these guys the way that these guys want to do business, meaning his management. Well, they've changed their opinions on how they can do business with us, so now we can.
Well, how does this work with you? I'd like to understand what it's like to negotiate with you, because it seems to me that would be a bitch. Like that, I want to understand how that is. Now, Overeem's not in the room, but Overeem's people are in the room, and the negotiation is going back and forth. And what? You don't like to talk these numbers, but how does that back and forth go? Overeem has some of that stuff around him that Brock Lesnar had around him. You're going to people want to see the giant guy fight. People want to see the
monsters,
the people that you're scared of, that anybody would be scared of. So how does that negotiation go?
Well, basically, that's a tough one to explain, because the way that it worked is these guys have a deal. These guys are from Holland, okay? The Golden Glory team. They're from Holland. And the way that they do their business is you pay us, not the fighters. You pay us and we'll pay the fighters.
It's the same Fedor stuff?
Yeah. The Fedor is a better example that I can give you, but there's never going to be a situation where we're paying a manager and not a fighter. We'll pay the fighter. He'll pay you. He works for you. Doesn't seem to be that way over in Holland, but over here, that's how it works. And I don't care how these other countries do business. You're going to do business the way that we do, because it's fair to the fighters. Now, the deal that we did with that we were talking about doing with Fedor, we all sat in a room together. And, I've said a lot of bad things about his managers, and I don't believe that he's one of the best heavyweights in the world, and I said that to them too. And we sat in a room together, and there's only one way to find out. Is this guy the best in the world? Come on in and fight. Let's go. There's only one way to We could sit here and debate all day who's the best and who's not. We find out when they fight. So we went in there and negotiated and gave them a great offer to come in and fight in the UFC, and they turned it down. And I said, let me tell you what, you're one punch away from being worth zero. And I was wrong. He was one triangle choke away from being worth zero. But he's lost 3 in a row now after the last offer we made him. And I guarantee you they lay in bed every night wishing they could go back.
How high was that offer? Give it to us, White. White, give it to us.
More than he's ever made in his entire career, and more than he will ever see in the rest of his life.
What was the offer?
Big,
White,
huge, monstrous.
Come on. I want to know how much money Fedor lost, because that's one of the appeals of this sport, is that any guy can win or lose one punch. Any guy can be finished or started based on one punch.
One punch or submission, and that's what he did. He got choked out.
Well, he had all the aura. Everybody wanted to see that guy. How much did he cost himself by not signing with Dana White? Now you're going to be delicate with Fedor when you've killed him and his management.
And I haven't said this anywhere else, but I'll say this on your show. Millions and millions of dollars.
I'm sure. Okay? I'm sure. You guys made him a huge
millions
offer.
And millions of dollars.
Say some other stuff on our show that you haven't said anywhere else.
I've never said that. I've never said that we offered him millions and millions. I just said we offered him more money, and they know it. I did an interview. I looked right into the camera. His manager's name is Vadim. I call him Vidummy. Okay? I said, Vidummy, you lay in bed every night wishing you could build a time machine and go back in time and take that offer that day in the room that you didn't accept.
We come back with Dana White in studio, UFC president, empire builder, empire maker, haunter of Fedor's dreams.
You can tell he really doesn't like being a Titan.
Yeah, he doesn't like to be called a Titan, but when he's in the room with Fedor, rest assured he likes being the Titan. We come back with Dana White after this.
All right, well, it's storm season again. You've seen the ferocious weather events that have struck around the country. We had a near miss right down here today, guys, with Hurricane Irene, but it should be a reminder to everyone to get prepared for the hurricane season. The hurricane forecast for this year is one for major concern. If a storm strikes us and your home is damaged, there's absolutely no doubt that you want the team from East Coast Public Adjusters in your corner to help you recover. In years past, people have lined up outside of their offices waiting to be seen. Well, now there's a way for you to get your place in line right now. Don't need to leave your home. Don't need to get off your couch. All you need to do is grab your cell phone and text "My name's Stugotz" to 70,000, and you'll become an East Coast VIP. You'll get tips. You'll get storm alerts sent straight to your phone, and if there's a storm, you'll get priority service. So do it right now, guys. It's free. Why wouldn't you? Text Stugotz, STUGOTZ, to 70,000 and become an East Coast VIP. They'll personally text you after a storm to make sure you're okay, to make sure the family's okay, and of course to make sure your home is okay. And then they'll rush out there. They'll deal with your insurance company. They'll file that claim, and they'll get you the maximum compensation on that claim so you can move forward with your life. Text "My name's Stugotz," STUGOTZ, to 70,000, guys. Better safe than sorry. Do it right now. It's Stugotz to 70,000. And remember, with East Coast Public Adjusters, don't ever settle for less.
UFC Rio is this weekend. Anderson Silva fights. You've been mad with Anderson Silva before. Dana White, UFC president, in studio with us here. What's the angriest you've been with a fighter? Is it Brock Lesnar attacking corporate sponsorship the wrong way? Is it the guy who fought in the Speedo as a joke here recently? Like, what's the angriest you've ever been as boss, UFC boss, with a fighter?
That's tough to gauge. I've been angry many times. Tito Ortiz, I'd say Tito is the guy who's made me the maddest. You know, he and I have battled for years, but Brock Lesnar, I was pretty upset that night. I was pretty upset with the Speedo, and I was really upset with Anderson Silva with the Abu Dhabi fight. I think that was the most. Where we're at a press conference, and I'm standing up at the podium, and the guy's sitting right here to the right of me, and I'm talking to him the whole time, saying, "Yeah, he sucked tonight, and his fight was terrible, and I want to apologize to the whole world for what happened tonight, and I'm embarrassed for our company, I'm embarrassed for him, and keep pointing at him." It was and then we went from there back to, my dressing room back then, and we talked for 45 minutes.
What was the issue? What was the problem? He didn't. I mean, he didn't want to fight aggressively. Like, what happened that night?
It was the craziest, weirdest thing I've ever seen since I've been in this business. This guy, and still to this day, he's the guy that I call the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. This guy is capable of doing things to other people with his hands, feet, knees, and legs and everything that other people can't do. And that night, he was just acting like a lunatic. Wouldn't engage, yet was making it look like Maya wouldn't engage, was slapping the mat, screaming stuff at him. Crazy.
It was weird.
Make yourself a fan for a second. Not a titan.
I am a fan.
Okay, but not a titan,
fan.
but not president, not promoter, just a fan, okay? The fight that you want to see, the fight that Dana White would pay to see right now.
The fight that I would pay to see?
You want to see.
I think I'd have to agree with all the fans.
The fight everyone wants.
Well, I think I'd have to agree. What we try to do is, my job is to put on fights that people want to see. That's my job. So we always do that. But right now, for instance, like boxing. Everybody wants Mayweather-Pacquiao. That's the fight everybody wants. And right now in the UFC, the dream fight for everybody is either George St. Pierre versus Anderson Silva or Anderson Silva versus John Jones. So that would be the dream fight.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Well, the problem is they're in different weight classes. So we there's other fights to still be made in these weight classes. I think when you get to a position where, all right, maybe it's time to find out who the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world is and jump weight classes here, then we'll do it.
Who's the next guy out there somewhere else, tough guy, barbecue tough guy, Brock Lesnar, who can make the transcendent leap from someone loved by the MMA community or hated, polarizing, but also can get you some more fans from outside because he's just big, mean, tough guy? Kimbo Slice brought a little bit of that.
Yeah, he did. He brought a lot of that, actually, and I don't know. I don't think there's anybody out there right now per se that isn't already in the sport. The Kimbo Slice thing was just so huge. I mean, when we brought him in and put him on the Ultimate Fighter, because I would have never brought him in to just fight in the UFC. My thing was, I think I was on your show and I talked to you guys and said, this guy wouldn't win the Ultimate Fighter. He's always going to be the toughest guy at the barbecue. Then I end up getting Kimbo on the show. Couldn't be a nicer guy. End up liking the guy, but we pulled 6.5 million viewers when this guy was on the Ultimate Fighter.
You've got to find that next type of guy. You've got to find that next type of guy. There's got to be somebody out there, right? Or
yeah,
is it,
it'll happen.
Dana White in studio, UFC president. We continue with him after this.
Quickly, guys, let me tell you about Jet Ski of Miami. Jet Ski of Miami and Fisherman's Boat Group, founded in 1958, but down here forever in South Florida. 5 years in a row now. 5 years in a row, Boating Industry Magazine's top 100 dealer list. They're your Yamaha White Diamond dealer. They're your Boston Whaler Master dealer. Jet Ski of Miami has a summer special going on right now just for you. Yamaha's Perfect Choice sales event will get you any Yamaha sport boat for $0 down and as low as 4.99% APR for the life of the loan. That's right, guys. You can now get as low as 4.99% APR on boats like the 242 Limited S, which earned the Zenith Award for Best Design. Come in, visit their newly renovated showroom. It is beautiful. Was just down there a few weeks ago. Ask for George, for Carlos, for John Vogel, any of the great guys down there. Tell them Stugat sent you. They'll all take wonderful care of you. You can check out all the 2011 Yamaha sport boats, the jet skis. They got them all down there. Jet Ski of Miami, South Florida's marine megastore, outselling their competition for 50 years now in South Florida, directly off of State Road 112 and Northwest 27th Avenue. Log on to jetskiofmiami.com or give them a call today. Tell them Stugat sent you. 305-634-5754. That number again, 305-634-5754. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. See how much you could save today when you visit geico.com. We continue on here with Dana White. Nice enough to spend an entire hour with us in studio, president of the UFC. And again, a quick reminder, we have a UFC Rio watch party this Saturday night at the Quarterdeck. We love the Quarterdeck. I've done so many great events out there. This event is going to be the Quarterdeck in Fort Lauderdale on Cordova. For more information, UFC Rio this Saturday night. Lebitard Show going to be out there. Dono's going to be out there this Saturday night. For more information, log on to 790theticket.com.
UFC Rio Saturday night. We've been talking with UFC President